Good morning and welcome to the JMCSS podcast for the district. I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for the Jackson-Madison County School System. This morning we will visit with Christina Warren. She's a sixth grade English teacher and coordinator of the Extraordinary Shake Communications and Leadership Competition at JCM Middle School. We'll also visit with the 2023 Extraordinary Shake champion, Adyson Jones. More on that in a moment, but first, the JMCSS podcast is a production of the Jackson-Madison County School System in partnership with Forever Communications. You can check out this podcast online on Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you check out your favorite podcasts. Miss Warren, welcome to For the District.
Thank you for having me.
Adyson Jones, champion, welcome to For the District.
Thank you for having me here.
Okay, so if people don't follow JCM Middle School or JMCSS on social media, when they hear Extraordinary Shake, they might think it's a dance competition. Let me stop you right now. It is not. It's a communications and leadership competition, and this is the second year that JCM Middle School has hosted this event. Miss Warren, I have to follow the rules here. My producer is reminding me we have to stick to the script. We always ask our guests, particularly our teachers, the adults, this is the question we always ask beginning the show. Did you always know you wanted to work in education? So before we get to the Extraordinary Shake, let me ask you that, Ms. Warren. Did you always know you wanted to work in education?
Actually, no, I really didn't. When I was growing up, my mother was a teacher, and so I saw a lot of the work that she put in, the amount of hours she spent outside of school, the time and the sacrifice that she made, and I was not interested in that whatsoever. I actually went to college with the intention of opening my own nonprofit organization in the inner city for students to encounter music therapy and things like that they may not receive from their schools. But when I got into my classes, I found that my education classes were the ones that called me. So I ended up changing my major, and here I am now.
Very cool. Fun fact, your mother was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago with Andrew Jackson.
Yes.
And so she's the teacher of the year.
Mm-hmm.
You've got big shoes to fill, but you're well on your way. Again, we're visiting with the folks from JCM Middle School. Christina Warren is a sixth grade teacher and coordinator of the Extraordinary Shake Communications and Leadership Competition. To my right is seventh grader Adyson Jones, but from here on out, we'll have to say champion. She's not just a seventh grader, she's champion of the Extraordinary Shake. First of all, Adyson, how did it feel to win?
It felt amazing to win because I love winning. Winning is just an amazing feeling because it's like, wow, I did this. And, I just felt really proud of myself.
Let's step back, Ms. Warren. For the listeners at home who may not be familiar with the Extraordinary Shake Communications and Leadership Competition, set the table for us. What is this competition and how is it organized?
So the competition actually stems from a competition at the Ron Clark Academy called the Amazing Shake. And we took that idea and the premise behind it and just really adapted it to match the logistics and the abilities of our school. And so basically the students go through a series of rounds where they have to attack different challenges. And those challenges increased in complexity as the competition went on. And so ultimately the goal is that one person is named the champion of the Extraordinary Shake.
Again, this was a competition for sixth and seventh graders. Mm-hmm. It was only at JCM Middle School.
Correct.
Total of how many kids were in that preliminary pool?
So we had a preliminary round that included 250 students.
Wow.
From there, the top 120 went into round one. And so from there, we were able to continue the competition.
If you're listening to this on the radio, we'll embed some photos in the video portion. And so you can go back on YouTube to see this competition. Explain what some of the competition was about. I know it was that introduction. Mm-hmm. Shaking someone's hand, looking someone in the face, speaking up, being professional. Adyson, if you would kind of tell us about the prep that went into the lead up to the preliminary round. What was the expectation in this competition?
Some of the expectations were to smile, have charm, and just be yourself and make good conversation with the adults that you were talking to. And a few things that we had for preparation, they would come in our classes, the teachers would come in our classes and give us time to prepare. And, they would have things to tell us to do. They would be like, make sure you smile, make sure you show teeth, do eye contact, things like that.
Ms. Warren, why is this so important? I know it's called soft skills. Why is it important? Because, again, when people think about schools, they think about homework and test scores. Why are these soft skills so important?
So recently there's actually been a shift with employers. They're no longer calling them soft skills. They're calling them employability skills. Wow. And some of the recent data out there suggests that less than half of employers believe that their employee pool, the applicant pool, has the soft skills needed to do the job. And so that was staggering to me. And I've been doing this for a while, but every time that we talk a little bit about the way employers cannot find employees that are qualified, not only in their ability to do the actual physical or whatever the task may be, but they're not qualified to speak, to communicate, to answer the phone, things like that. And so the goal is that if we start this in middle school, these kids are going to go to high school and they're going to have the ability to go on job interviews, go to college interviews, advocate for themselves with their teachers when they need extra help. We want our students to have a voice and to know how to use that voice in a positive way.
We're speaking with the Cougars from JCM Middle School. Christina Warren's a 6th grade English teacher. She's coordinator of the Extraordinary Shake competition, but she's also coordinator of the house system that's special and specific to JCM Middle. We'll get into that conversation a little bit after our commercial break. We're also visiting with the Extraordinary Shake champion, Adyson Jones. Adyson, for you, which part of the competition was the most intimidating? And thinking back to the social media posts I saw in the photos, at the school level, you all were speaking with and interacting with local professionals. And then it just kind of progressed. And not only did the people change, the locations changed as well. So for you, Adyson, as you went through this tiered competition, where did you really feel the heat and the pressure?
I definitely felt the heat when it got down to the top 36 because that meant that I had beat plenty of students, and that it meant that people were just as good as me, and they were all coming into the same round as me, and they had the same exact skills as me, and we were all going to be moving together. And within that, it just kind of gave me some nerves because I was like, can I do this? Am I going to be able to make it?
So let me ask you, you're a cheerleader. You've participated in soccer. So you are social.
Yes, sir.
So what piece was most important, or I guess the most difficult for you to display?
Definitely to display charm and just smiling, because when you smile at people and you show some teeth in there, they'll definitely feel like you're interested. And also just making eye contact with people, because when they know that you're looking and listening to them, it makes them feel more warm and more safe or comfortable with you.
We'll have more with Ms. Warren and Adyson Jones after this commercial break. We'll also talk about the house system there at JCM. And if you've catched, I think it was episode 20 where we visited with Dr. Breeden. So there's a lot of interesting and fun things going on at JCM Middle School. You're listening to For the District, the JMCSS podcast on JJ 97.7 FM. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Terica Smith, a local attorney and proud JMCSS graduate, but I'm also a JMCSS parent. We chose Jackson Madison County Schools for educational options that are innovative and challenging. Whether it's the Academic Academy at Northeast or early college and career opportunities at JCM Early College High, JMCSS offers classes and programs that will prepare my son for college and beyond. Plus, JMCSS is a Level 5 district and tuition free. It just makes sense.
Hi, I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for the Jackson Madison County School System. With an increased focus in the fine arts, athletics, workforce development, and early career opportunities for students, there's never been a better time to choose us. Tuition-free, Jackson Madison County Schools. Visit jmcss.org today to schedule a tour or call 731-345-7011.
Hello, I'm Takaya, a star student at Arlington Elementary. You're watching For the District. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to the JMCSS podcast for the district. I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for the Jackson-Madison County School System. We're visiting with Christina Warren. She's a 6th grade teacher at JCM Middle School, and she's the coordinator of the Extraordinary Shake Communications and Leadership Competition. We're also joined by the winner of the 2nd annual Extraordinary Shake, champion Adyson Jones. Welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here. In case you missed the first segment, we want to encourage you to go online, and you can go to Spotify. You can go to Apple iTunes or Google Podcasts, wherever you check out your favorite podcast, not only to hear this episode, but previous episodes. Miss Warren, I do want to ask you, the Extraordinary Shake, this communications and leadership competition where students had to show communication skills, leadership skills, poise. There were several rounds involved, and I know we're kind of recapping a little bit. In the initial pool of applicants, there were over 200 students. Mm-hmm. And then they kind of weeded themselves out through competition, and it was 120 students. Mm-hmm. At one point, there were 36 students, and the kids like Adyson really began to feel the heat. Explain the rounds to us, and there are 10 rounds, mm-hmm. So I know you may not want to mention all of them, but certainly there's some rounds of this competition that stand out.
So the first round is probably the most basic. It's just a 60-second first impression. So the students had to walk forward, shake the adult's hand, introduce themselves, carry on a professional conversation. Mm-hmm. Beyond that, we had a round called the Gauntlet. It was round 3, and that was the top 36 that Adyson was talking about. In that round, students had a bunch of stations, and one of the stations was to fire an employee. One of the stations was to calm down an angry customer. There was a little surprise at that station that startled the students. I'll let her talk about that in a minute if she wants. They had to calm down an angry board meeting. They had to convince someone to vote for them for mayor. And so all of those, it was just a series of really rapid communications challenges, and we wanted to throw the students off a little bit to see what would happen when they didn't have the script in their head, when they hadn't memorized the list of questions, to really see which students would begin to shine and show that adaptability. Mm-hmm. From there, they had the Circle of Doom, which was 24 questions of in-depth questions like, what would you do if someone asked you to cheat? What would you do if someone asked you to create a fake social media page? Things like that.
Adyson, of the rounds, and there were 10 of them, which stick out the most to you?
Definitely the Gauntlet, because it was a lot of different challenges, and a lot of them were pretty difficult. But, of course, I managed to get through them, and it was extremely fun.
The Circle of Doom, depth of character. Were there any questions that kind of threw you off?
It was a question about creating a hate page for someone for money. Yeah. And, I was thinking, I was like, I would definitely do this. But, of course, I would, tell them first. And, so we would both be on the same page. So we would both, split the money. So, it would be a win-win situation.
So there's this moral dilemma that the students have to go through. Again, Ms. Warren, talking about the point, talking about the benefit, could you reiterate why it's important for students at the middle school level to begin developing these higher ability skills, I think you call them?
Yes. So there are a lot of people out there in the world once these students hit the real world. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people with similar qualifications, or sometimes even better qualifications, more experience, things like that. But we want to give our kids every possible tool that they can have, so that when they hit high school and they start doing job interviews and college interviews and things like that they're really prepared. We want our students to feel like they have the skills to tackle the world and that nothing's out of their reach. A lot of students are discounted and overlooked because of maybe who they are, where they go to school, or what district they're from, or how they grew up. And we don't want our students to ever feel like they're at a disadvantage. And so we want to give them all of those strategies and skills and tools that they need to be able to take hold of the opportunities that they're presented.
Adyson, do you feel like these are some skills you can go ahead and use on or off campus?
I definitely do, because I know there's a lot of communication skills, and communicating with people can be hard sometimes if you've never like talked to people, or if you just don't like to communicate with people. So if I'm getting these skills now, when I go off in the real world and I have to apply for a job or just communicate with my employees, it's going to be easier because like I have this set of training that I've already experienced and got from this Extraordinary Shake.
JCM Middle School held its second annual Extraordinary Shake. Students in the 6th and 7th grades focused on their interpersonal skills in a 4-day elimination event. Volunteer judges from across the community really challenged the students, their communication skills, their composure. And then there were several scenarios held around town. And I think this is what makes this event even more memorable, Ms. Warren. As the rounds progressed and the pool shrank, these competitors held competitions off campus. Talk about that, because I think Starbucks was one location.
Yeah, so day 1, we held all of that competition at our school. Day 2, we went to Lane College, and we were able to use the Kirkendall Student Center. And we are so grateful to them because Lane provided that for free for us. And so we had those events at Lane College. And then on day 3, we actually traveled to Starbucks on F.E. Wright. And the students had a job interview with the district manager and 2 store managers from town. And then after the job interview, they had to calm down an altercation between 2 of the baristas on the floor.
And in case you're listening on the radio, this was part of the setup. It was planned.
It was all a plant. And so they would walk up with me to the counter, and the baristas would be arguing, and so it was a lot of fun because the employees had a great time with it. We also, after we went to Starbucks, we went over to City Hall, and the students gave a city pitch where they had to pitch a plan to improve our city. They had to have 3 problems they wanted to solve and the way they wanted to solve them. And so with very little preparation, they went in there to tackle that. After that, they had lunch with Mayor Scott Conger in his boardroom upstairs, and that was so much fun. And then day 4, we held at the Ned, which was the finale.
I think it's so cool because you have these middle school students making memories most kids, even if they're lucky, don't get to make until high school. I do want to ask you, Ms. Warren, and I asked Adyson this, in your mind, how soon will these students begin using these skills that they developed preparing for and going through the Extraordinary Shake?
I think the hope is immediately. Part of what we talk to the students about is how to communicate what you believe in a way that is professional and still maintains that positive tone. Because a lot of times when we get passionate about something, we might turn negative or we might put a negative light on it. And so we really talk to the kids. How do you present problems to a teacher? How do you address a problem with another student? How do you advocate for yourself when you feel like maybe something is unfair in a way that's positive? And so we hope they'll start using these skills right away. I think that's the point, right? To start now and to really hone those skills into the future.
Now, in addition to teaching English at JCM Middle School and coordinating the Extraordinary Shake, you also coordinate the house system. And so we'll expand on this after the commercial break, but just real quick, give the folks at home an idea of what this house system is about at JCM Middle School.
So houses it's really just teams or families at our school. Each team or family represents a different core value. The core values were developed by a core team of teachers at our school. We all sat down and we came up with the things we wanted our students to represent, and not just respect and responsibility. We want those, yes, but what are things that they will carry past the school environment? We're talking about things like confidence, originality, unity, growth, ambition, and risk-taking. And so those are some things we want students to carry with them. And so that's the basics of the house system.
And I told Dr. Breeden this, the principal at JCM Middle School, not long after her interview here on the podcast. My son and I were playing basketball at a school, and some kids walked up. And so we began playing with them. They said they went to JCM Middle School. Oh, so I asked, what house system are you in? They were very passionate about the houses they were in. But then also there was a student who wasn't in a house because, again, very thoughtfully, you all started the house system on a grade-by-grade basis, and it will expand with each grade. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. So I think the goal there was that we'd start with our sixth graders and build that really strong foundation, and then they'd carry it up with them. So next year is going to be the first year that our entire school does the shake, that our entire school does the house system. And I think we're really going to see the fruits of our labor next year.
And one quick tidbit before we take our time out. Now, remember, Adyson was not a sixth grader at JCM Middle. So the data would suggest that Adyson wouldn't have been a winner because she didn't have the luxury of that first year experience, sixth grade, going through the extraordinary shake. But so if a seventh grader, a new student, can come in, compete, buy in, and be a champion in the extraordinary shake, certainly students are also able, if they care and do the work, to also come in and be successful in the house system there at JCM Middle School. We're visiting with Christina Warren, teacher at JCM Middle, and extraordinary shake champion Adyson Jones. We've got one more segment of For the District left. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You're listening to For the District on JJ 97.7 FM.
Hi, I'm Tad Pohl, host of the Morning Splash on Froggy 104, and a proud JMCSS parent. My wife and I chose Jackson Madison County Schools for our kids. Brooklyn is an honor roll student who has found an aptitude for art and is also a member of her school choir. And the twins are getting excellent instruction in pre-K and learning valuable social skills. The kids love their schools and their teachers, and we are very proud to be JMCSS parents. Jackson Madison County School System is a level 5 district and tuition free. It just makes sense.
Hi, I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for the Jackson Madison County School System. With an increased focus in the fine arts, athletics, workforce development, and early career opportunities for students, there's never been a better time to choose us. Tuition free, Jackson Madison County Schools. Visit jmcss.org today to schedule a tour or call 731-345-7011.
Hello, I'm Camden Womack, a star student at Arlington Elementary, and you're watching For the District. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to the JMCSS podcast For the District. We're visiting with Christina Warren. She's an English teacher at JCM Middle School, and she's the coordinator of the Extraordinary Shake Communications and Leadership Competition. And she's also joined by her 2003 champion, Adyson Jones. Adyson is a seventh grader at JCM Middle. We talked about the house system, and we'll get back to the extraordinary shake in a moment, but something very important we want to talk about. The house system at JCM Middle School. How many houses are there?
So there are 6 houses, and each house represents a different core value.
Okay. We'll talk about the other 5 some other day. Today, Adyson, we're going to talk about the house you're affiliated with, which is?
Umoja.
Okay. And it is the House of?
Unity.
Awesome. Miss Warren, for the kids who are in Umoja?
Umoja.
Okay. Which royal blue, by the way, is the color. What do you hope those students take away from that particular house or family?
So in the House of Unity, the whole goal is that it's togetherness with a purpose, right? Mm-hmm. We support each other, we uplift each other, but we're all working towards one goal. Mm-hmm. And so we hope that students in Umoja recognize that and start to rally behind each other, to support each other, even when maybe it's not their moment to shine, but it was Adyson's moment to shine. And so we were able to see students really rallying behind their fellow peers, which can be difficult, especially in middle school. But I would say that her house really took that on, and they were really supportive.
I just received a text message. I've been told to mention all the houses. So, Miss Warren, can you mention all the houses for us? I'm sorry, Adyson. I tried to just give yours a shout out. All the houses there at JCM Middle School.
Sure. So the yellow house is House Maya, and it's the house of confidence. The black house is House Pristinum, and it's the house of originality. You have the blue house, House Umoja, the house of unity. The green house, which is my house, and that's House Kakura. We're the house of growth. Then you have the purple house, which is House Bury, and they're the house of ambition. They're currently in first place again this year. And then our last house is House Riscavani. It's the orange house, and it stands for risk-taking.
There are so many things I like about this house system, but when I think back to school days, there are certain students you're going to naturally be gravitated to. The band students will gravitate toward the band students, choir students, et cetera, et cetera. In this house system that you have set up, let's just say there's a football players in separate houses. So now they are forced to increase their pool of friends or their pool of associates, because now they have to get out of that athletic department shell, right? So now the kids who always hang out with the choir kids can't just hang out with the choir kids, and they have to make friends and develop relationships with students outside of that. Adyson, I know you're a cheerleader.
Yes, sir.
And so I don't mean to pigeonhole you, but I'm guessing you probably hang out with other cheerleaders. But they're more than just cheerleaders in the house system that you're involved in. So for you, how has participation in the house system at JCM Middle School expanded your horizons a bit?
It's expanded my horizon by allowing me to meet a bunch of different students who, you know, come from different backgrounds, different things. Like, everybody loves something different, so it's just fun to meet all these, like, different people who enjoy doing different things besides what I do. Because if I'm meeting people, you know, who like to do art and things like that, it's fun because I love seeing people draw and things like that. So I just get to meet a bunch of new people and expand my friend group.
That is awesome. The Kendall Thaxter was the runner-up for the Extraordinary Shake. I'm curious, was she from your house?
She's not from my house.
Okay.
But we are really good friends.
Very good. Miss Warren, you mentioned that there was another house who was leading. So whether it's the Extraordinary Shake or the house system at JCM Middle School, your kids are competing in a number of different ways. First of all, tell me how they're competing in the house system, but then also the benefit of these competitions.
So for the house system, the students earn points through their academics, through their behavior, through citizenship, through just doing the things that we want our students to do. Things like speaking up for themselves, for standing and speaking in the classroom, for making an A on their project, and all of those types of things. And so students earn points for those things. They earn points for participating in Well Dressed Wednesday or Family Friday and things like that. But in the bigger picture, the competition, it's a strategy, right? So as teachers and as people in the education system, we want our students to buy in. And a great way to get kids involved is competition. Everybody's competitive. I'm competitive. Adyson's competitive. We're all competitive. And so a lot of times as we're walking through the hall, I'm like, oh, I see all you green people. You're wearing your green stuff for our house day. And so we try to make it a lot of fun. It's also teaching students how to win and lose with grace, which is something the Extraordinary Shake does as well. Students learn very quickly it's not always your moment, and how you react in the times when it's not your moment to shine says a lot about your character. And so that's one of the, I guess you could say, a social emotional type lesson that we are trying to make sure that our students get early, because if the first time you experience failure is in the real world, you're not going to know how to handle it. And so we want to make sure our students have those skills.
That's awesome. Going back to the Extraordinary Shake, which was the second year you all have done this, the final round from the Extraordinary Shake actually took place at the NED. You had I know you had several community partners walk with you and support you the whole way through, but particularly United Way of West Tennessee helped you in this that final round. Adyson, what was that last round like? Because it was in a big building with a stage and folks looking back at you. Tell us about that last round where you and Kendall Thaxter were dueling out for the championship.
It was very nerve-wracking and exciting because I felt like I was on a TV show. So it's like, okay, you know, you got to give them a little bit of smile. You got to give them a little bit of pizzazz. So, you know, you got to throw everything out there at once and have fun with it. And, you know, it was a little bit, you know, scary because it's like when you turn around and you look at the crowd, you see all these different faces, and you never know how anyone can feel by their face all the time. Because, you know, some people might be smiling and just like, yeah, she's doing bad. So, you know, I was a bit nervous as to how everybody's faces were looking. But, you know, I try to stay positive through the whole thing overall.
For you, Adyson, what's been the best part about being a student at JCM Middle School?
The best part is that I get to meet a bunch of different people and branch out and just see all these different people and all the things that they like. And, you know, it adds into things that I like because a lot of people have interests that I hadn't heard of before. And so I got to start, like, enjoying these interests along with them. And I also have like a really big support system within the teachers and things like that, because I feel like I can confide in them and just have fun with them, because they always give you a safe space to come and talk to them.
Ms. Warren, we're going to give you the last word. I know there are a lot of things that make JCM Middle School unique, like your house system, like your extraordinary shake leadership and communications competition. For you, though, as we wrap up, in your own words, what makes JCM Middle School so special?
If I had to give you one word, and I can explain from there, it's magic. JCM, we try to create a culture of magic. We want to surprise the kids, make them excited to come to school, enthusiastic. We always want our students to want to be there. And that's a challenge with middle school, because there are a lot of other things vying for their attention. But at JCM, we love our kids. We reach out to them. We look out for them. We give them opportunities to shine that may not be your typical academic route or athletic route, but other ways that they can show who they are. And I feel like that culture of belonging and acceptance is a trademark of what our school is all about.
From the district level, it makes me super excited, because if you guys are building this excitement, culture, and character at the middle school, all these students will naturally filter into JCM High School. And so just knowing what your junior and senior class will look like in several years, I mean, for folks at the district office, we get excited when we hear about the things you guys are doing at the middle school. Thanks again for being here, and congratulations, Adyson.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to For the District, the JMCSS podcast on JJ 97.7 FM. We want to remind you this podcast is a production of the Jackson-Madison County School System in partnership with Forever Communications. Now, if you missed any of this show, you can go check it out on Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you check out your favorite podcasts. We want to thank you for joining us this Sunday morning. We hope you have a great Sunday, an excellent week, and we'll see you next time.